Hi, I'm Faith Bost, and this is an introduction to Enlightened Iridology. And this is your prep video if you've signed up to have your eye read or you're interested in finding out more. You'll see an iris behind me to get an idea of the detail that we can get in an eye photo. And each eye represents something different. So our right eye is going to represent dad and dad's lineage genetically. It also will represent right side of the body. And your left eye represents mom genetically and mom's lineage, and also left side of the body. So the purpose of reading your eye is going to be to find what may be unconscious to you, because you're conscious of everything that you know. And our subconscious has things that we may be unconscious of. So we are going to read your eye as a photograph of your subconscious mind. And why is that important? Because we're 10% conscious mind and we're 90% subconscious mind. And our subconscious is what's creating our reality. Our subconscious mind is also our physical body outpictured. So the iris of your eye, every nerve that goes through your spinal column and touches every point in your body ends up in the back of the optic nerve. And that's how the map is created. It's a reflex point for the map. And it's a map that shows the anatomy and physiology of the body, except we're going to read it as the colored part of your iris is your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind is also your feeling world. And what's going on in humanity, for generations, we were told we don't have to feel. In fact, don't feel, or don't cry, or avoid feeling. Just go shopping, have a drink, eat some sugar. All kinds of ways that we've been taught to avoid feeling. Or we were raised by parents who didn't know how to touch feeling either. So when something was going on, they went mental or didn't touch their feeling world. And right now, humanity is waking up to feeling is actually really important. Feeling is life. Feeling is how we experience our world at deeper levels. If we're just using our mind and our thinking, we're only going to experience so much. But our whole body is a sensory machine. And for instance, if we look in someone's right eye and they have a signal on the area of kidney, that's going to represent partnership and forgiveness. So it's all done through questions. We may ask the question, do you have forgiveness returning for dad or male figure? And the person is going to access their feeling world, their memory, their subconscious. So the key here is our subconscious mind is got every pattern recorded, every experience recorded. And even if our mind directs us to not look at those experiences are still in our subconscious. And some people experience that they have self-sabotaging patterns, or they have what we call body language, symptoms in their body that they'd like to have a different experience of, or a shift. And those are available when we access our subconscious and the code of how they're in there. For instance, when we're accessing our feeling world is also our subconscious mind. And our subconscious mind has been called a powerhouse, a all-powerful 1,000-pound gorilla. And it's only been 15 years since we mapped the human genome in science. And when they mapped the human genome, they started to discover our body. We're not just going to fall into the genetics of mom and dad. Our genetics are turning off and on based on our thoughts, our words, and our feelings. So that created a whole opportunity to put feelings as very important, because how we feel about something is magnetizing experience to us. So for instance, if I ask somebody, how do you feel about losing your job? They might answer me mentally at first, and they may say, oh, I'm okay with it. I know it's all going to work out. But they didn't tell me how they feel. And feeling is so important because our subconscious mind is taking direction from our thoughts and our words. Our conscious mind is directing our subconscious. Our feelings are very important because our subconscious will magnetize that experience is based on our deep feeling. So if someone says, oh, I'm okay with losing my job, they didn't tell me how they feel. So, well, how do you really feel about losing your job? Oh, fear. So then that's what's creating and magnetizing more experiences to feel fear about. And in our system that we're going to use in reading your eyes is we're going to use a feeling scale that says feeling is just energy. And feeling is a movement of energy from one to another. So fear moves into faith and courage and trust. And so if we're not aware of feeling fear, the mental answer, oh, I'm okay with it, I'm just fine, we're going to magnetize more experiences that are fear-based. And we call that a repeating pattern or a sabotaging pattern. Then we're going to give you decrees or affirmations to say in your eye reading. If you say, well, I feel fear, then you say, I give myself permission to trust. I choose my courage. I remember my faith. And all of that's going to begin to move the energy that was solidified as fear, and it's going to move it into faith, trust, and courage. And that's what's going to magnetize something new and different in our reality, is that our subconscious mind is creating our reality based on our feelings and our thoughts and our belief systems about it. So what's available to see in someone's eye is the belief systems that they inherited from mom, dad, grandparents. Belief systems may be things like the world's a harsh place. You have to work really, really hard to get ahead. And we're going to challenge those beliefs by finding them first, because when we're aware of something running unconscious to us and we bring it to consciousness is when we can have new choice. So how do you feel about it? And then what's your new choice about it? We'll talk about those things when we read your eye. Very specific patterns. The really key to moving a pattern is our subconscious is in the moment of now. So the 90% subconscious that creates through feeling is in the moment of now, where the mind is in process. It doesn't enter now, and it does space and time, and it's looking at a linear process. So if I have this going on, then I'm gonna work on getting to here. And for our subconscious, it's in now. So if there's a pattern or a belief system running in someone's eye, it's going to keep reoccurring. So the mind might set off to say, well, I'm not going to have that kind of thing happen in relationship again. And yet, if we didn't move it in our subconscious, if we didn't find what the belief system and the feeling connected to it was, and then begin to repattern it, it's going to run automatically unconscious to us. So the eye reading will take place through one of the facilitators will be myself, or one of our eye reading facilitators will be asking you questions based on what they see in your eye, and you're going to do your best to just answer yes or no, just however it's in there. As simple as if I said, what is your name, and you said your name, just that simple, because all of it is code. Our patterns are wired in the codes of language and the codes of experience and belief, as well as feeling. So thought, word, and feeling, we're going to find out how those things are coded, and then you can rewrite your script. You can rewrite your program. And 90% is subconscious, 10% is conscious. And so imagine that you're playing with your powerhouse creating through you. And it has a lot to do with the fact that humanity has been doing the linear, figure it out, gotta know, and using the mind, which is the 10%. And the mind is valuable. We're not going to no mind. The mind is valuable, but it's valuable for things uh, such as opening the doorknob, doing math. The partnership with our mind is our feeling world. So the two questions we'll be asking is, how do you feel about it, and what's your new choice? To give you a for instance, I had a client who had cataracts, and they went for cataract surgery, and the surgery was botched. And would say I'm doing quotations on the botched, or it was messed up. The surgery didn't take well. And I do quotations on that because unless we have an agreement with our subconscious is going to be the one dictating whether we have a new agreement or not. So if we just come over the top of the body and say, well, I'd like new eyeballs and I'm going to sign up for the surgery, if we didn't agree to seeing new again in our subconscious, the 90% is going to override that. So we have to have agreement in thought and feeling. So when the client came to me after the botched surgery, what they had in their eye was some markings that I asked them about, that the markings were in the areas of the eyes, and said, basically read out the pattern of I will not see. So they had an agreement of I will not see, that over time their subconscious began to outpicture that in their physical body by shutting down their vision. So with the client, when I spoke to them about it, they went to the memory of growing up in a family of alcoholics, where their mother was passed out on the kitchen floor more than once, and that they would go to check to see, as a little child, they would go to check to see if the mom was dead or alive. A traumatic experience, that they left themselves emotionally to do that. So they weren't in an agreement with they said, I don't want to see that, I don't want to see that, I don't want to see that. And they got that wired in there with the feelings of how traumatic that was. And so that, because our subconscious is in the moment of now, those patterns are going to keep running, even though it's 30, 40, 50 years later. It's running until we shift it. And that's why it's important to find those unconscious beliefs or the buried memory, and how it's in there is not going to make sense to the conscious mind. Why doesn't it make sense to the conscious mind? Because our feeling world is also at the level of a 3-year-old. So humanity's been rationalizing over their feeling world, which is at the level of a 3-year-old. Rationalizations won't work. If we say, oh, it doesn't kill you and make you stronger, or your parents did the best they could, none of that is going to work with our feeling world being at the level of a 3-year-old. So we have some key ways to be with you on moving your patterns into your new choice and having a permanent new choice. I love what I see. I see what I love. But having that be in agreement in thought, word, and feeling is the key. And that's what we're going to help you with in your I reading, is finding which new choices are going to benefit you the most, and for you to live your most conscious life and your most fulfilled life, is to find these patterns that imagine that we took on these experiences because what we were going to learn from them, and then the strength that would return for us when we moved the pattern. So for instance, if I'm here for enjoying my life, I will have experienced life as harsh and painful and suffered. Because when I move that energy into enjoying life, I'll know the whole spectrum of it. I'll have a full experience of what enjoying life is because I know what it isn't. So imagine any patterns that you've taken on, no matter how big they are for your lineage, in experience, they're precious to your greater mission in life, and they're precious to your full experience of life. And when we agree with moving the pattern and touching the pattern and feeling the pattern, and which is going to be facilitated by your affirmations and decrees that you'll get through your eye reading. I look forward to being with you, and all of our facilitators look forward to being with you as well. Thank you.